roped off that bedroom.
And that was it.
And they didn't photograph. They didn't do anything with the rest of the house. They didn't look into Robert's car. They did not check Robert's hands to see if he had any gunshot residue.
Wow.
I mean, but seriously.
But what are they going to...
I know, that's your friend. That's your bud.
Yeah, hey man.
Yeah.
Let me see your hands.
But that's the thing. If he's a good cop, then he would know. And if he is a good cop that has nothing to hide, then you can walk up to, I don't care how close you are to somebody, you can say, I have to do this. And they would say, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even talked about. They did not rule out forced entry. They didn't check the driving route or his car to see if it was hot or anything like that. Because remember, they got there in like 4 minutes.
You say route.
Do you say route? Do you say Route 44 at Sonic?
No.
Oh my god, so you flip-flop?
What? I guess I do. I don't know what I say. That's not a word I say very often.
Well, I don't like it. Choose one or the other. Another thing they didn't do was ask Robert what happened.
Oh.
They didn't bring him in for questioning. They didn't even take a fucking statement from him.
That's weird.
They just wrote down what they overheard him telling friends and family.
Oh, God.
I mean, he told the guy Jeff Warrow whenever he got there, but it wasn't like a statement. You know how you have to write down a statement?
Yeah, you got to write everything out.
It was just a passing kind of, what happened? Oh, this is what happened. They didn't take a statement from him. So in the Oxygen show, they said that Texas Rangers were also called to the scene because, of course, there was a conflict of interest, him working for the police department. And I can't really tell you what they did at the scene because they weren't mentioned much until later. Like 2 days later.
Okay.
Now I'm going to go over what was reported from the scene. Like what was investigated. So before the coroner took away Viki's body, they took plenty of photos of the scene. And they searched diligently for the spent shell casing.
They couldn't find it, could they?
Nope, they couldn't find it. It wasn't until after her body was removed that they found it.
It was under her?
It was underneath the gun cleaning kit. And this is just a side note, because I hate talking shit about how people respond in traumatic situations. But it was reported that once they put Viki in the body bag and were wheeling her out, Robert stopped them and asked if they could open it so he could say goodbye. And he said, "Well, take care," and then walked away.
Oh,
That's the driest fucking goodbye I've ever heard, especially to someone that you love. I don't know.
Yeah,
I hate it. Yeah. I hate talking shit about trauma response, but ooh.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to move on to what the medical examiner found. He reported that Viki had died from a gunshot wound straight to the center of her chest. There wasn't any contact wound, meaning that it wasn't pressed against her. Yeah, or super crazy close. But he did determine that it came from about 3 to 6 inches away.
Okay.
Once the bullet entered her chest, it tore through her heart, lung, liver, and spleen. So it came in at an angle. So it went
through at an angle.
Mm-hmm. On the left side of her back, there was a shored exit wound, which I did not know what that meant. Have you ever heard of that?
A shored exit wound?
Mm-hmm.
No.
So it means that the bullet didn't really exit her body, but it outstretched the skin.
Oh, okay.
And there was a lot of bruising around it. And what that means is that something was pressed firmly against her back in that area.
Gotcha.
To keep the bullet from coming all the way out. Yeah. There was gunshot residue on the sleeve of her pajamas. They tried to test her hands, but the test came back as contaminated.
Okay.
I don't know how that works. But they said that they couldn't determine whether or not there was gunshot residue on her hands. But they did find some on her cheek and her neck. So it's as if her head had turned as the shot went off. Another interesting thing that the medical examiner found was trace amounts of popcorn in her mouth and alongside her body.
What?
Like she had been eating popcorn at the time. However, at the crime scene, there was no indication that there was popcorn anywhere.
Oh.
but she had to have been eating it in bed if it was stuck to her body.
To her, yeah.
But yeah, there was none in the crime scene at all.
That's weird.
So up until this point, everyone kind of assumed that Viki was cleaning Robert's gun.
Right.
And the gun accidentally went off, shooting her in the chest. But after the medical examiner's report, the Texas Rangers were like, okay, something doesn't add up here. And they finally bring Robert in for questioning. This is 2 days after Viki had died. And this is what he tells them. On Friday, July 5th, that was the day before she died, remember he called in and asked Detective Waro to fill in for him for the weekend.
Right.
So he takes Viki to dinner to celebrate their 16th wedding anniversary.
Okay.
Remember, they lived in Denton. They drove all the way to Dallas, which is like a 45-minute to an hour drive to a restaurant, I guess, that they both loved. And he said they spent the entire dinner just gushing over about how lucky they were, how after 16 years they were still so very much in love. And after dinner, they wrapped it up and drove home. They got home around midnight, played with Monty. Why the fuck he was still awake, I don't know. And then they went to bed. He said they woke up the next morning around 6 a.m., took Monty to the park, went shopping at Target, came home around 4:30. Then he said they just kind of hung out around the house. They put Monty to bed around 7 p.m. Robert got on the computer and played some online games for about an hour. Viki watched TV in bed. She had told him that she wasn't feeling very well, so she just kind of got into bed early. And then it was around 8 p.m. when Robert went into the bedroom and told Viki he wanted to clean his gun, only to stop and decide that he wanted to go to the tanning salon first.
Okay.
Fucking tanning salons. 1990s was a hell of a time. Wonder if he put a heart or a Playboy bunny on him when he tanned.
Wore a Speedo.
He said before he left, he had gotten out the gun cleaning kit and put it on his side of the bed. He went and got a couple of sheets of newspaper so he didn't get the bed oily and gross. Yeah. Is it weird to clean a gun on a bed?
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, it feels weird to me. Yeah. But I don't know. Okay, I'm not going to judge. He said he then removed his 9mm from his duty holster, removed the fully loaded magazine, removed the live round, then set his gun on the newspaper with the slide lock open.
Okay, that's proper.
Then, like I said, he had that whole conversation with Viki where she was like, I'll clean it for you. He was like, don't worry about it. He leaves, drives to the salon. He said he tanned for 20 minutes. He talked to the person at the front desk about the 4th of July for a few minutes because this is July 5th, or July 6th. Then he headed home. He said he arrived home at approximately 9 p.m., and when he walked into the bedroom, that's when he noticed Viki lying awkwardly on her side, and she didn't respond to him. I said that really slowly because remember he told people at the scene that he saw her sitting up.
Right, and he knocked her over.
Mm-hmm. He said he also noticed that the gun cleaning kit had been moved to her side of the bed, and that's when he put together what had happened. And like he told Detective Waro on the night of the incident, he said he called 911. The 911 operator mentioned CPR, so he set the phone down and the baby, straddled Viki, and began chest compressions. He said he did them for about 5 minutes until he decided that she was too far gone, so he grabbed the baby and went to the front door to unlock it and open it for paramedics.
But he had no blood on him.
No blood on him, and paramedics arrived within 4 minutes of the call.
Uh-huh.
Just to remind you.
Yeah.
So the Texas Rangers asked Robert if he thought maybe this could have been a suicide, and he responded first by saying he didn't think that she had any reason to kill herself, and that he thought it was an accident. But then after further questioning, he said that Viki had been pretty depressed about her father's death, which had happened years earlier. I mean, I said that weird. You can still be depressed about someone who died years after the fact. I wasn't trying to be shitty about that, but it's just interesting that she would recently get depressed about that. Uh-huh. And I don't know, maybe something triggered her and she was depressed.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to mental health shame anybody.
Sounds like you are.
Sorry. He also said that she had a chronic illness that made her tired a lot, and she was also in pain. He didn't say what it was. So after questioning Robert, they move on to Anna, remember Viki's mom that lived in the house. She told investigators that she wasn't home during the incident, but she knows that Robert would never do anything to hurt Viki. They were very, very much in love. In fact, she went so far as to say that she thought maybe one of the dogs had jumped on the bed, scared Viki, and that caused Viki to accidentally shoot herself.
Uh-huh.
So as investigators move on, they start interviewing friends and family and colleagues, and they find out that Robert was not necessarily the doting husband that he led everyone to believe that he was.
I bet not.
Turns out, Robert was super controlling over Viki. And not just in your average, where are you going, who are you going with, controlling douchebag ways, but he was obsessed with her weight.
That's shitty.
I guess when they first got together, when she was 18, she was heavier than she was at that point. He made her carry a picture of her at her heaviest so she could pull it out and look at it anytime she wanted to eat something extra or skip the gym.
What a dick.
He made her log everything that she ate. He weighed her at the gym every single day and would do body fat percentage things to her.
The little pinchers?
Mm-hmm. He decided her workout plan and would amp it up if she put on a pound or two.
Oh my God.
I know, I wish you would try, Chance. Just try. You won't like how it plays out. And unfortunately, this led to Viki suffering from eating disorders all throughout their marriage, just trying to appease him.
Yeah, it's pretty toxic.
In fact, the reason why they waited almost 15 years from the time they got married to the time they had Monty was because Robert didn't want her to gain pregnancy weight, which really sucked for Viki because all she wanted was a baby. It's reported that every time that she would really get on him about wanting a baby, he would buy her a new dog. So by the time they had Monty, she had 5 little dogs.
Oh my God.
So suffice to say, having Monty was like her dream come true. She was even planning to step back from teaching that year so she could spend all her time with Monty at home because she didn't want to miss a minute. Investigators also found out that Robert was quite the fucking cheater.
Uh-oh.
And not just a cheater, but like a multiple girlfriends at one time, I don't give a fuck who knows about it cheater. Like flaunting it cheater.
Wow, cool guy.
He had cheated consistently throughout their marriage, was very open about it. However, Viki never talked about it with her friends and family. Some of them said they think that she just succumbed to this is my life type thing. You know how sometimes that happens in relationships. They also found out that at the time of Viki's death, Robert was in a long-term relationship with a woman who was also a detective at the Denton Police Department.
Huh.
Her name was Cindy Waters. So they bring Cindy in, and she's all types of confused because she was under the impression that Robert and Viki, while still living together, were very much separated. She was told that Viki knew all about her, which is why he was dating her so openly.
No, he's just a douchebag.
Yes. Robert told her that they were staying together just for Monty. Then after Monty turned 1, they were going to split into separate houses. Mm-hmm. But they weren't together. Viki and him weren't together, is what he said. When Robert and Cindy first started dating 1.5 years before Viki's death, Cindy was also married. But once she fell in love with Robert, she told her husband and left him. And got a divorce, expecting Robert to do the same.
No. That's
when he told her, I've told Viki all about you. We're just going to stay together for Monty. Well, now it's coming up on 1 year. Monty's 11 months old. And Cindy's getting antsy. She's left her husband for Robert, but Robert hasn't done the same. So, to show how devoted he is to Cindy, he went and leased a fucking condo for the two of them.
Okay.
Because the plan was, when Monty turned 1, he would leave Viki, move into the condo with Cindy, and they would pool together their money and build their own dream house separate. She also told investigators that the Friday before Viki died, she had had lunch with Robert and told him that she was losing faith in him. She did not really think any of this was going to come to fruition because he wasn't making moves.
Right.
I don't know what more she wanted than leasing a condo with him.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Right, but she just didn't feel like he was really in it with her. And he said, please just have faith in me. I promise you we will be together soon. Then, when he took Viki to that anniversary dinner, he ended up bringing her home. Remember, he said that they came home at 11, played with Monty, and we were like, or I was like, why was he still up?
Yeah.
He left at midnight, went and stayed with Cindy